Good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Bob Kraft, video from Honolulu, Hawaii. I had previously lived in China for 29 years, and I had to leave there because it became too dangerous for me. And so I left, and I'm still working on doing things for Hong Kong, for China, Communist China. I've been asked to do a video on June 4th for the anniversary for Scotland, and I'm very, very pleased to be able to do that. The situation was starting back when, from my earliest memory, I've always had understanding of what communism is, because as an American, we were taught that starting at about 5 years old back in the early 1960s with the Soviet Union. And then later on, I went into the U.S. Army and I was stationed in Germany during the height of the Cold War. So I saw it and I experienced it firsthand. I was actually stationed in Berlin for a short while, and I went to the Berlin Wall. We were able to look over at the East German side, which is communist at that time, and we were able to see how the people lived, and they would look at us from the buildings there and dilapidated buildings, rundown buildings, and I was very sad about that because I knew that was wrong. Not just the way they were living. That told me something about the system itself was wrong, but that were not free to travel because the Berlin Wall stopped them from traveling. So to West Germany, which was free and democratic there, and they were not able to get over. And we could look over the Berlin Wall and we could see the people in the distance or looking out windows at us. The other thing too was along the Berlin Wall there were guard dogs, there were mines, there was machine guns, and anyone who traveled into that zone would be shot and murdered. Of course, it was murder. It had nothing to do with anything besides that because they were just trying to exercise their right to travel, to movement. So all these things I observed firsthand, and that was over a 3 year period from 1976 to 1979. And at that point, I knew that communism was wrong. And I was like, well, what can I do? At that time, I was a very young man, and I just did my duty. I stood guard because we knew that communists could not advance, and we needed to protect the free people. So later on, in the mid 1980s, I committed my life to Christ. I became a pastor after the U.S. Army, and I went to Bible school in Hawaii. That's why I'm here now. And so I was able to put my focus on China. And I went there in 1986 for the first time. And then later on, I moved there full time in 1992. And I was there from 1992 to just within the last year, I moved back to Hawaii. So I spent a lot of time there in Hong Kong, communist Hong Kong, because they've come into now communists has come in and they control the people. It's not really about running a government. It's about control. And I also lived in communist China for a period of a few years, and I also saw what went on there. Now, this was after Tiananmen Square, and at that time we didn't know too much about it because it wasn't being talked about worldwide. And the more that I can do to share that, I want to do that. That's why I'm doing this video now. And I would encourage everybody in Scotland. Actually, my great 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 grandfathers came from Scotland. So I actually have and they immigrated to America in the 1700s. So I have a very strong feeling for Scotland. And I would say that we need to do what we can to make public and to speak out. I do understand there are security concerns for some people not showing their face. Maybe they have family members back in those areas, but for sure, those who can should speak out, and they should do everything possible because Tiananmen Square was just the situation where we saw firsthand what was happening, and we were able to observe it on the CNN at that time, watch it on TV, and it was being talked about in the media. And we should not forget what happened. We should remember the people who died and were murdered. Um, we should remember all those people who did that, and we should not allow that to go without being someone who can say that was wrong and you should answer for your actions. And that's what we're doing today. So I would encourage everybody around the world. In fact, in Hawaii, we're going to have a June 4th Remembrance here in Honolulu. I'm going to participate in it. And I would encourage people around the world to do that. So thank you very much for Scotland for asking me to come and speak. I very much appreciate it. And never, never, ever forget June 4th. Remember it every year. Thank you.